You know what time it is.
What's up, beer people?
If you heard it on the hashtag beer time, it's true.
It must be true.
It's true. It is fact. Please, won't you name one of your beers cart horse?
And just do something terrible. Just shit beer.
Stick your finger in there every now and again.
Stir it with the sock.
Every show, it feels like my first show.
Every show is a new adventure.
Having some good conversation here, Mr. Troy.
Did I make sense there? I think I did.
I love them all.
Are we off air?
Hello everyone and welcome to episode 20 of hashtag beer time. Pretty chuffed and stoked to have made it to episode 20. So I thank you very much for tuning in, for listening, for supporting me and for following me on this journey. So let's get straight into this show. Gary from Citizen, how do we describe him? Well, he is probably one of the trendiest guys in the Cape Town beer scene. He is so meticulous when it comes to his brand and the design elements that he puts into Citizen Beer. So we definitely chat about that in the show and the importance of graphic design and labeling. We also chat about homebrew. We chat about the South African market. We chat about his decision to brew a beer that was inclusive of the community and to not be too out there, but this was his main decision why he made an amber ale to start with. So there's a lot of things that we discuss. We really have a good time as the beers flow, and he and himself, his beers have a really interesting story. So I will let you guys enjoy it and you let me know what you think. Cheers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, and when it's that time, we do one thing and one thing only. It's time for hashtag beer time with me, T-Bone Troy. Hello, welcome. Have you missed me? I've missed you. What a great weekend it's been. Did you have a good weekend? I had a good weekend. It's Tuesday. Ooh, it's a little golden brown there. Maybe an inkling or a clue as to what we're going to have lined up on the show. I'll get straight into it. We have a old-time friend of mine, a good buddy, and I'm not sure how to introduce him, but he's known as Mr. Citizen Beer, Citizen Brewery. Gary, am I getting it right? How do we introduce you?
Gary from Citizen is normally what I go with.
Gary from Citizen, love it. Well, it's great to actually finally have you in the studio.
Yeah,
I know since I've started, I've been threatening to get you on, and it's kind of, you're like one of those buddies where you bump into a bar and you have one drink, and then after a few drinks you say to each other, we should probably have a few more drinks.
Get that done.
We should have more drinks together. So
definitely.
I'm glad that we're having some beers in the studio, and I think it's only appropriate to change things up in terms of how we taste beer, but I think it's only appropriate that we start with the beer that started it all.
Yeah,
I know
absolutely. I was thinking we could go through it in order as I released them.
I think that's great.
Because, there's also a journey with their names and how they got their names.
Sorry,
Okay.
what's catching that
I
sound?
think it's this, this happens every show.
Okay.
It's just this,
it's
I
that
think
cable.
it's this,
It's this cable, I think. Professional.
Yeah, so there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's nothing new. I'm sure for those old-time listeners from the Tasting League, what's up? I'm sure this is nothing new.
Yeah.
But let's get straight into the beers.
Cool.
I will scratch around in the bag, and while I'm doing that,
I'll tell you about the beer. This first beer is Alliance. It's the first beer we released back in April 2012, and it was the reason it's an amber ale. And the reason we wanted to make an amber ale at the time is everyone had a pale ale. There was every single brand that was out at the time had a pale ale, and the whole thing with craft beer is about variety and different choices. So we wanted to make something else that would help educate and still be really easy drinking, because that's what amber ales are typically, very easy drinking beers. I know in the States they could be way hoppier, but we wanted to make something that was very accessible to people so that they could get into craft beer, and it's still the beer that a lot of people who I meet will go, oh man, you're the one who got me into craft.
there we go.
I drank Alliance. I was like, well, that's awesome.
It was one of my first gateway beers. It was, you guys, I mean, like you said, 2012 is when you launched.
6 years now.
So yeah, you're pretty much
An O'Bully.
an O'Bully in terms of the craft beer markets. And it's, what I find so fascinating, what the hell am I doing? I'm just talking and I haven't opened this
Just
beer.
looking at it. It's so pretty.
Let me just give it a little. So, I mean, this was a gateway beer for a lot of people in the Cape Town scene. I think
Yeah.
you share that kind of spotlight with And Union in that
Yes.
you guys were, and
Town
Jack,
beers.
Jack Black,
No,
and
we-
the guys who were pushing the craft beer boundary, and you were the first guys to have that name, craft. And
Thank you.
cheers.
Cheers. It's beautiful.
Good to have you here. Oh, yeah. So this has some good memories, from 6 years ago. There's just so many directions we can go in terms of what I want to talk about. Let's start with Amber Ale and why you chose Amber Ale, because I feel when I started the homebrewing scene, also around 2010, 2011, an Amber Ale was kind of your go-to beer for homebrew. It was one that had a good mixture of sweetness, a good mixture of hoppiness. It was kind of like an amalgamation of beer, and also I say this with the utmost respect to homebrewers. It was a beer that if you stuffed up your pale ale, if you stuffed up with one beer, you would kind of fall into an amber ale.
You could fall into an amber, yeah.
But it's an interesting choice to start with an amber ale. Why did you start with an amber ale as opposed to a blonde or pale ale?
Yeah. Well, initially, like I said, wanted to provide something that was not a pale ale because there were so many pale ales, and back then they were the more multi style of pale ales, not the hoppy style that we're starting to get into the industry now. But when I started, I got my good friend Hugo. He's my business partner, and he helps me make a lot of the decisions we make as Citizen. And I actually sat him down with a whole variety of beers, and I said, "Tell me the things you like." Out of we would just drink a lot of beers, and then he would tell me the things he liked because he didn't like craft beer. So the thing was to make a beer that would get people into craft beer, and just all the points that he sort of listed sort of came down to what an amber ale is, as you said, slightly sweet, slightly bitter, slightly hoppy. It's there's some complexity there. It's easy drinking. It was just, and that's really what stuck. So I'd actually never made an amber ale before that. I'd been brewing for like 2.5 years. And I'd never made an amber before. I was always making really insane dark beers with way too much hops and stuff like that. So
Nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that. So, and I'd also thought like something like a blonde would be too close to a lager, and then not enough. You see, initially all my decisions of the beers I made were sort of educational decisions.
Sure.
So I wanted the industry, the new drinkers to be educated. So like if you're making a blonde, sometimes it can be too close to a lager and you're not really doing anything interesting there. So if you can get people into ambers, then they can get from ambers, they can get into hoppy pale ales, from hoppy pale ales into IPAs. And then, then they sort of just grow in terms of their knowledge. So that was the decision behind making an amber.
And I mean, something that I picked up there is that you based also this beer on a general market in terms of your, Hugo was it?
Hugo, yeah, my business partner, yeah.
A perfect example, someone who doesn't like craft beer, someone who doesn't know anything about beer, and then you essentially based your flavor profile of your beer on a demographic that it was one person, but as long as you kept it on one person, you knew that just because it was one person, it was a percentage of a market, and that's all you needed just to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, because I mean, the whole thing back then, it's big now. Now, if I had to start again, I would probably come out the gate with a smacking IPA. It would be very different. So yeah, back then it was about getting more people involved, more people interested, more people drinking. And so yeah, the decisions in the beginning were about getting more people involved. And it sounds cynical, like it's only a business-minded thing, but it wasn't. It was just needed more people to enjoy and love what I love.
It's I've actually only just noticed now. There's a good alliteration. Forgive me, but I tend to use my big words in the beginning of this the show.
Alliteration's
And
a good
then-
one. It will
and
get
then
harder to say at the end.
Towards the end of the show, I just use very simple words because they kind of fly out the window.
Yeah.
But I see it's got Alliance Amber Ale. And
Yeah.
that obviously rolls off the tongue, and the Amber Ale, it's not an amber lager, it's not a light ale, it's just something that, like you
Yeah.
said, it's totally different. You went deep end, and
Yeah, we thought it would be nice and catchy. The Alliance name comes from, it's Hugo and my alliance and our alliance with our customers. It's our first beer. That's why it's called the Alliance. But it also fit well. We actually used to have American Amber Ale, so it was Alliance American Amber Ale, which was very cool. As you said, rolled off the tongue.
Yeah.
It was catchy. But when I was going around 6 years ago to venues, they would go, "No, we don't want American beer. We want South African craft beer." And you go like, "No, I make this here." They go, "No, we don't want it. Our customers won't drink American beers." So we actually had to take the American off the labels, which was quite funny.
what a shame.
What a shame. But it doesn't matter. I think it's
Yeah.
probably neater now.
Again, so many different routes in which I want to branch off, but I'm going to try and keep it intact here. Let's start with. I want to talk about the name Citizen, then we'll go on to the actual design. But let's talk about where you got Citizen Beer from.
Citizen Beer, as I mentioned earlier, Hugo and I, we partnered up in this. I'd been making beer for a long time, but I realized I needed someone to bounce ideas off of.
When you say making beer for a long time, homebrew.
Yeah, well, I was brewing with my friends who own a wine farm in Hout Bay called Amber Louis, make amazing wine. They've actually got a harvest market this Saturday if you guys want to go.
Cool.
So we were brewing in their cellar for about 8 months together, using top-end equipment. And then I actually quit my job. They wanted to go mainstream, and I thought, you know what, I will too. And I quit my job, I sold everything, I built a little nano brewery, and I was brewing for 2 years, like 4 times a week, just learning as much as I could. So yeah, that's what I meant by brewing. But also, like I said, I needed someone to bounce ideas off and actually be accountable to get stuff done.
Sure.
That paperwork you need to fill out, but you're like, I'll do it tomorrow. But if there's someone else going, have we done it yet? You're like, oh shit. So
Yes.
I needed that. So yeah,
We all need a Hugo in our life,
I think that's true. So the Citizen came about from both of our influences. I mean, mine's more on the design side. His is more in the naming. Hugo really loves the Cold War. He loves the espionage, the subterfuge, the names of secret agents and stuff like that. So a Citizen is about those people in society who you don't really know what they're doing. It's got that slightly Eastern Bloc concept of a citizen, and like that they would call each other comrade and all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
And so Citizen is about those hidden elements in society who you don't know who they are and what they're doing, what they're up to. So like people who have that, they're the member of the Alliance, the Alliance, whatever it may be. And then you could be sitting next to someone on the train and they've got like the microfilm to the nuclear sub that they're going to pass off to their handler,
It does. Now that you say that, I'm looking at this label. There is a very revolutionary undertone to all of this.
There is. So that's where all the naming comes in, and I'll go through them all as we go through it. But yeah, so the Alliance is the first one. It's the coalition, the joining of us and our customers and each other. So that's the formation of the Alliance.
Very cool. Thank you for that explanation.
Yeah.
I think
Long-winded.
No, but it's nice when
It's thought out.
when people think about it, and let's have a story to it, because I think I've said it so many times on the show. The brewing experience from a consumer point of view, it's not just the taste.
Yeah.
If they wanted something one-dimensional, there are big brewers out there who provide that. But what makes a craft beer special is that there's a story behind it. There's a bit of hidden meaning. There's sometimes obvious meaning, but yeah.
Yeah, and we've sort of avoided putting that on the labels and stuff. It's because again, it sort of adds to that covertness. Like the story itself is hidden. Like it's not part of it's not part of the marketing gimmick. There's just a flavor
exactly
tastings notes on the side.
All you've got here is a local favorite. That's 3 words. A 3-worded sentence. I think that's brilliant. That's all you need on the side of the label. And I like that you've included some of the
got the ingredients.
The nerdy stuff, the IBUs, the color, malts, style.
Yeah.
Like that style, 19A American Amber Ale. So you kind of snuck in that American
Well,
version.
I did.
Yeah.
Eventually got it in.
I want to. Yes, we've been chatting for a few minutes, which is good. The first half always we get there. We get there after the first bit.
It speeds up.
It speeds up. There are some other things I do want to branch off and
Cool.
talk to, and we can do that now. I mean, we've got
Yeah.
some time. Let's talk about the actual logo design, the label design.
Yeah.
Because from me, I'm a designer by trade, and I'm just so impressed that you guys started with such a great label that it almost hasn't changed since you've launched it. You might have tweaked some things on the side, but I mean, can you explain the thought concept in terms of why you designed something so aesthetically pleasing on the eye?
Absolutely. I mean, the design choices on there come from my influences, which is medieval history. I love medieval history and that period of time. So
Any time specifically?
just the High Middle Ages, as they call it, 1438 to 1653, or whenever that particular period is.
Game of Thrones era.
Yeah, well, Game of Thrones would be a little earlier than that, but yes, around that sort of style. And so, so a lot of the design elements on there. So we used heraldry, which is, you'd have a flag with like three castles on it and like a blue stripe, and then so with that sort of stuff, you could see, oh, that person works for that person, and well, that person is a servant of that lord, and that lord's goals in life or standards and things that he will stand up to are displayed on his guild, on his heraldry.
Coat of arms.
Yeah, exactly. So that was that was sort of the element. So that's actually meant to look like a shield. So it's got the outline shape like a shield,
Yep.
and then the stripe, and then the heraldry is sort of in our logo itself, which is a sword, two lines for barley, 2 lines for water, and the sun representing glory, which gives life to it all.
I remember you explaining that to me, but it was at a beer fest.
Yeah.
So I
don't expect you to remember all of that.
Remember that.
So yeah, that's supposed to be like a stained glass window
Yes.
in an old cathedral. The actual logo itself. So that's that. And from there, we just extrapolated. And the guys who I worked with at Monday Design are fantastic, and they get me. So like I have to give very little instruction for them to get what I wanted.
I'm trying to extract your thinking in terms of why you put energy, effort, and money into a label, because that doesn't happen when people start a brewery.
Yeah.
9 out of 10 people think, I'm going to make a beer, it's going to sell. They don't think about design, marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about myself, and what kind of product I would want to buy. Looking at, selling to myself, what would I want to do? I look at labels. I often judge a book by its cover. If I see a beer with a bad label, I'm not going to touch it, because it makes me worry. Because it feels like they're not paying attention to everything. If you're looking at the smallest thing, then you're looking at everything, kind of thing. But at the same time,
That's a good point. I like that.
The product should also look like a luxury product and a good quality product. It should give that feeling of like quality and luxuriousness and style, and just something that makes you feel better about just having it, as opposed to before you've even drunk it, and that happens with a lot of things. People buy very expensive watches when you can buy a Casio knockoff for like $50. It's just, you want that very
Done there.
yeah. So it's that's why that was our thing. We wanted it to look as good as it tastes, and we wanted it to jump out at you on the shelf so that you went, that's something I want to try. And we also wanted it, again, from back then when there weren't many people getting into craft, we wanted it to look like a product that you go, oh, actually, I will try that because it looks good. And so that was our decision making in the beginning when we were first doing that.
Cool. Well,
And with everything we do.
tip of the cap to you guys in terms of a great, not just a great tasting beer, but a great design beer.
Thank you.
A beautiful old favourite of the Cape Town beer scene. Let's. There's still some things I want to talk about,
Good.
but let's take a quick little music break.
Oh, cool.
And then we will see people, I suppose, in 5 minutes or so. Let's find Welcome back. Hashtag Beer Time with me, T-Bone Troy. Hello, Gary.
Hello.
Gary from Citizen.
Yeah.
Fantastic beer. We had a quick water break off air, and we've got this new bottle of water, which we won't name because it's not sponsored by them, but it's got, on their bottle, they've got natural spring water, pH 8. And it's quite interesting that they would advertise that, and we were discussing our favorite types of water, which I suppose only people in the beer industry
People
or
who look at water profiles
Yes.
really care about, yeah.
and they've got the typical mineral composition on the back, which again something I
reckon
Up
the
until-
chlorides are pretty low in that, actually. I haven't looked at it.
chloride is less than 5,
Yeah, that's low.
and I know that also calcium is 4.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about South African water, is that the calcium is incredibly low.
Yeah, we add calcium to
You do?
all our water profiles. Yeah, I mean, we obviously fiddle with each water profile for each beer to try and match what you're trying to create. But yeah, the calcium is very low. But obviously we strip everything out and start from scratch anyway.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. have to.
So that's a good point to kind of move on to where your beer is brewed. But let's crack open a beer first, because it feels like we don't have anything here.
No, we must.
What's
Saboteur is next.
Saboteur? Where are you? Where are you? Okay. Ooh.
No, that's Patriot. That's second last. No, yeah, second last.
There's no Saboteur here.
There should be.
Diplomat, Guardian, and Patriot.
Oh, whoops.
Okay, let's move on to the next one.
I never made a beer called Saboteur. I really thought I brought some. Sorry, that's mad.
No worries.
Yeah, well, Saboteur is the English IPA that I made, which is again a beer we made in response to what was happening in the industry at the time. You know, people were coming out with IPAs, but the IPAs were very strong and they're quite alienating.
Yes.
For people who are getting into craft, they don't have the palates to drink 65, 70 IBU IPAs. You know.
It was I mean, I remember that. So I remember, like, everyone was trying to push for American IPAs.
Yeah.
You were the only ones who brought out an English IPA.
Absolutely.
And I think, yeah, people were a little bit bowled over. Like, okay, now there are 2 types of IPAs.
And we still have to deal with that issue because often I see, you know, a review on Untapped or something. Someone will go, not very hoppy for an IPA, and you're like, completely different style of beer.
Yeah.
You know, it's not meant to be crazy hoppy. It's supposed to be the English style, which, you know, would have been super hoppy back in the day, but, you know, with the Americans pushing things as far as they do, it's not. But we made it as a bridging beer because
Do you ever reply to those people and just
I feel-
write idiots? Or-
No, I feel like I feel like it would be snarky if you go, well, actually,
Yeah.
you know, you're wrong. It's, you know, that's why we put the styles on the side of the labels now,
Yes.
so people can, if they want to learn more, that they can look it
Sure.
up and then
Sure.
actually know more about what they're drinking and not just say, oh, this isn't hoppy for an IPA because it's only 42 IBUs
Yes.
instead of 65.
Yes.
So yeah, we made that because at beer festivals we'd get people coming up and going, oh, thank God you've just got a regular ale, I can't stand IPA. And you're like, but IPAs are amazing, you know, and I didn't want that. So I wanted to make a bridging beer, so you could go from amber pale, English IPA, and then move on to your American IPAs, once you've sort of developed your palate for hops. And that's why we made it, you know, like again, in this current market I probably wouldn't have made it at all. But it was good at the time and it's done well and some people absolutely love it, you know. I love it. It tastes like
I've drunk it before, so I'll just tell all the people listening it's a good beer.
Yeah.
And I'll have one soon. So
Yeah, we could have had one now.
we could have, but not to worry. What should we move on to next? What came next in your stable?
That would then be the Diplomats. And Saboteur is so named because people would be drinking less of the Alliance and therefore sabotaging the Alliance. You see. So that's where the name comes in.
Okay, so that's the primary reason why you chose it.
Chose that name, yeah, absolutely. Because they tell the story. So now Diplomats, because you've got the fighting between the Alliance and the Saboteurs.
Am I correct in saying that there's a massive French influence in these words?
A lot of the words we use, I think 40% of our language is French,
Yeah.
or a third of our language is French anyway.
You're talking
English,
yeah.
yeah. So yes, they are all French words so far. I think they're all French words. Yeah, I think they are.
Maybe not Guardian. I don't know about Guardian, but it does feel like it does have that.
I know. I say them
French Revolutionary.
I say them in French accents to Hugo to piss him off. He really bugs him. My partner, business partner.
Should do it in
Alliance, Saboteur, Diplomat.
Do it in also an American accent, or just
Alliance.
The Alliance. Okay, well let's move swiftly along to the Czech Pulse, the Diplomat. Tell us why, while I'm opening it, why Czech Pulse? Why not a German Pulse?
Why not a German Pulse? Again, at the time we had lots of lager in the country. I think most of the craft beer companies had a lager or a Pilsner, which was typically your Bavarian style Pilsner. So again, just in terms of education and letting people learn more about craft and the history of beers, and finding something that they could. What is that?
Let's just turn that down. There we go.
Just to find just what they can like and what they can interest. So it's educationally why I made it. This was actually the first beer I made when I started brewing on my own.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, I loved SARS, I loved hops, and so what can you make that's very hoppy and got lots of SARS? Czech Pilsner. The original recipe for this came out at 45 IBUs.
Wow.
Yeah, and I mean, it shocked a lot of people because, when you think of a Pilsner, you think of something, quite light and crisp and not particularly assaulting, but not that this is, but it's just a lot more bitter than people expect and a lot more flavor in there.
You think about the Czech Republic, it snows there half the year, so it's a lot colder. People maybe want that bitter heaviness to complement the beer.
So I mean, smelling.
Have you been to Czech Republic?
I have not. It's very much on my checklist. Martin from the Beer Merchant showed me when he actually went to the Pilsner Urquell brewery in Pilsen, which is what I sort of based my. I do a lot of research for each of these beers. I don't just the English one. I looked up old English brewing styles and what things they would use and sort of when their hop additions were and explanations of what the beers looked and tasted like to try and get a real feel, and so that when you create it, you're trying to recreate that sense of history at the same time. So this again I was trying to recreate what you would have got back in like 1880 in Pilsen, when people first got it, because it was the first purely pale beer, and it took the world over. From there it became lager. Lager became super popular, and that's how we know the beer world now. Every country's best-selling beer is a lager.
I love that story. I mean,
it's amazing.
If you think about, you obviously now we could go off on a tangent in terms of history.
Yeah.
But just to kind of imagine or think about what the consumer, if you can call them that, what the people were drinking prior to this.
A lot of brown
pale ale.
Bitters, yeah. A pale ale was just paler.
Yeah, paler in comparison to the stout or the porter.
Yeah, it was still red or even like tinging towards brown. It was just paler, and I mean it's quite also that period of time. It's quite a lot of things came together to allow this the Pilsner to come to existence, because they had better glass making techniques, so the glass was clearer. They had better malting techniques from finding coke.
Kilning,
because they managed to extract coke out of coal, which burns cleaner, which wouldn't stain the malts as they were heating them.
Yes.
So then you could make paler malts, which would allow for paler beers.
Yeah.
The caves that they kept the beer in, which made the beers crystal clear and like let the yeast do their job properly, and all to come together so that it could just take over Europe and then the world.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating.
No, I dig that story, and I can highly recommend for anyone listening a trip to the Czech Republic. If just for beer, why not? But for anything else, it's a beautiful country and lots of history. I kept a journal of the beers that I drank, and it was
good.
Good times.
Well, I mean, some of the best compliments I've had about this beer are from people from the Czech Republic. They're like, it's nice to taste a beer like you can get back at home. And I was
yes.
like, well, that's what I was looking for.
That's what you want.
Absolutely. So, I mean, with this one, it's, you can smell the SARS, you can smell the hint of that Pilsen malt. And again, on the mouth, it's actually quite soft. It's got that bitterness, but you taste that very floral, perfumey SARS flavor with a hint of that sweet you want a little like of that sweet diacetyl buttermilky sort of quality from the Pilsen, just a touch.
Okay.
And it's in there, and yeah, it's great. I mean, if you can go too far, then you end up with a butterscotch beer, which is awful. But I've never had that problem.
If you want a touch wood. If you want a butterscotch beer. And the name of this beer?
Diplomat comes from because of the conflict between the Alliance and the Saboteurs. Need someone to smooth it over. Who better than a diplomat?
I'm loving these stories.
Yeah.
I'm a beer nerd, so I love these kind of things. But I'm sure people listening also enjoy this kind of progression in terms of how you came up with these names. We're talking obviously about Citizen Beer, ladies and gentlemen. If you've just joined us, and
this is one of my favorites.
I'm enjoying this. This is it's going down a treat. Let's shift gears and talk about the brewing process in terms of where you brew, because you don't have an actual facility. In fact,
No.
I was doing some research and I saw on one of your social media pages that you had a fan who was saying, look, he loves your beer, but why don't you have a tap room or somewhere where you can just go and look at the beer?
I mean, I'd love that. I mean, we brew at Boston Breweries in Pardon Island. We've never, not been. We've never hidden that fact. But it's not like we're not hands-on. I'm there, most days of the week. I taste the beer out the tanks. I talk to the brewer. I proof test every brewery. It's my recipes. It's not like I just bought a recipe and said make me a product and all I do is market it.
Sure.
So yeah, unfortunately, it's just Hugo, me, and it's Hugo's brother. So Sasha. So it's me, Hugo, and Sasha. We funded it ourselves. So we only have a limited amount of money to do it. A brewery now, I think, at our scale would cost us somewhere around 30 million rand. Don't have it. I left it in my other pair of pants. Yeah,
People are listening.
Wearing the wrong pants.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's lots of ways to go. We could have gone about it where we could have got investment and then, diluted ownership. But I want to own Citizen. I want to make all the decisions myself. I want to be in control
And is it just those three ownerships?
Just those three. Yeah,
Okay.
we're just the three people. We've self-funded from the start, and which is the same reason we don't have a tap room. Unfortunately, it's just there's a certain financial amount, with a certain amount of money that you need to put up front for a venue, for the etc. But we look at that money and we go, well, we could put that back into the business. We could put more taps in, we can buy more kegs, we can expand, get new beers. So it's you just got to be more cautious with your money when you are limited in that sense. So that's the reason. I would love to have a tap room. I love cooking. I used to be a cook when I lived in Canada.
Yeah.
So I would love to go into work every day and make beer and cook food. I mean, that is living the life.
There was a festival which I think you were at. It was at the Old Biscuit Mall, the markets, and I think it was one of my first ever festivals.
Would have been We Love Real Beer.
No, it wasn't one of those. It was something else, because I think there were some homebrewers there or something. But look, we were talking.
I've been to lots.
We're talking a few
racking
years
my
ago.
brain here. Yeah.
But the one thing that I noticed then, and I want to know from you if it's still applicable today, is that I learned when I was 6 years younger that if you wanted to start a brewery, you either had to focus on the brewing process, on making a great beer, or you had to focus on the marketing side of things.
Yeah.
So, do you still think that's applicable today? If you as a single person or an entity, whether you're a husband or wife or just to make it simple, if it's just one person wanting to start a brewery,
In the way the industry is now.
do you think that's good advice? Do you think that's wise?
Yeah, the industry's changed a lot. So I think
Is there enough time to do both?
now you have to do both. I would say you definitely have to have a great beer, but the marketing side probably tips the scales more. And more of having a sales force out there consistently knocking on doors, even doors that said no, and keep going at it, because the market itself has reached a point. There aren't as many new people coming into to drinking craft beer as there are brands coming in. So there's sort of a saturation. So to get your head, you see, to stand out in this quite saturated market as it is now, you need to be able to get people engaged and active with your product, because just being on the shelf with a nice design and being there is not good enough anymore. So that would be marketing is a big aspect of it, and being on tap, I think, is also the biggest barrier, because again, if you're on shelf with another 100 other brands, you're just sort of lost in there. Whereas if you're on tap at a venue, you regularly get engaged by the customers at that venue, and then they will look for your product in the stores. But very few people, South Africans, I think we can say this is quite true, is we find something we like and we stick to it. And so if you're not going to start, if you come in and you buy your like 3 brands that you like consistently, you're not going to, every now and then you might grab one that looks nice, but that's not enough to make a business that's new survive. So in the pure business sense of things, then I would say marketing is more important than good quality beer, but good quality beer is obviously paramount.
It goes back to what you said earlier in the show. Like, if you go into a shop and you see a crappy label, you're probably not gonna.
No.
We've been taught you shouldn't judge a book by its covers, but we're not. We're in the beer industry. We're talking about the consumer out there, the average consumer. You need to make something that looks good on the eye. The kind of point I was getting to is that when I was a home brewer, I still am a home brewer, but you would get these type of people who would come from an engineering background, whether it was chemical or mechanical, and they would make these amazing contraptions to pour beer. Their beer would be of amazing quality, but they would have zilch marketing inputs or creativity flair. And then again, on the opposite side, you would have guys like me who were brewing beer out of a bucket and bottling it and kind of winging it, but I'd make really nice homebrew labels and people would come to my stand. We're talking about the Southeasters markets, which we need to talk about. So I see what you're saying. These days you do need both.
You have to wear both hats.
You can't hide behind a good label.
No.
For the people listening, don't get me wrong. Like, you could have an amazing label, but if your beer is shit, you're sinking.
Your great marketing will sell you one beer to that customer.
Yeah.
If you don't have a good beer, you'll never sell another to that customer. So it will only get you away once. It's the same as having like a bad beer. You'll only sell one beer to that customer.
Yeah.
But as a business, just separate from the craft beer side of things, or like the love of beer thing. As a business, you got to have both. You have to wear both hats, and you have to have great beer with good design, and you'll see, like, I see a lot of guys sort of rebranding at the moment, and it must be helping, because the stuff looks great now. Like, some stuff was a little less, not like just great.
I like to think that people like people or shows like #BeerTime, let's put it that way, and other social media legends, if I can call them that. They are legends. Shout out to you guys. They are trying to encourage better designs, and I think the brewers are listening. As you said, we are getting more design changes. People actually put in money into stuff, and not just using their cousin's friend who gives them a good deal.
Absolutely.
Which, it leads me on to two things. Well, it leads me on to training and having these conferences and training for brewers, and I'm thinking there's still a lack of marketing or lack of design or creativity talks. There's a lot of with these conventions or with these brewer classes, they happen around Cape Town.
I think
it's all focused on your 4 main ingredients. It's kind of like, get these four rights and you'll make delicious beer and it will sell. Which, yes, maybe you're on the right track, but you are missing out a very basic final step, which is all-encompassing marketing.
Man, there's some beers out there that taste terrible that are super popular, and I'm not talking about craft beers. I'm talking about like mainstream beers. Some beers that just taste awful, but they're super popular because they market it well and they're constantly in people's eye and people drink it. So it's that's
Got a
proof
flood of images just rushing into my brain.
I'm sure you can
But
think of a lot of things.
I'm just going to keep it in my
start
brain.
with L,
Yeah.
end with T or E. So there's but I think also like in South Africa, the kind of people who are attracted to starting their own beer brand and stuff are, as you say, your engineering types. You sort of know they don't. Not, I guess that's stereotyping massively, but it is a certain person that typically doesn't care about design or style or fashion and that sort of thing. So to them, it's not important because to them that's not what they care about when they choose.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, and so yeah, it is important. Hire a designer, let them design something for you, and my biggest piece of advice is find something where you only have to change one element on the label necessarily. So that if you come out with a new product, you don't have to redesign a whole new thing and spend another like 5,000 to 15,000 rand, however much you spend on it. You can just ask them, please replace that, and cost you 5,000 to 1,000 rand.
Ballpark figure for just tell the people listening doesn't have to be based on your brand, but if a brewer came up to you or anyone and said, look, I want to have some beer labels designed, what should they expect to pay? For give one label price with logo name, and then give like a 4 beer price, so like a range, a 4 beer range.
You're looking for one logo, depending on who you talk to, you're looking between 10 and 15,000 rand. That's going to do your logo, your whatever your insignia may be, your motto,
identity.
Your identity. So you're creating your CI, giving you a logo and your first label,
corporate identity.
Corporate identity. Sorry, and your first label that you will then move off of. I mean, 10 would be very cheap. I'd say it's between 15 and who you work with 30, to be quite honest.
Really?
Yeah, but 15 grand well spent, because you will. It's essential.
9 times out of 10, it's a once-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a once-off.
It's the once-off, and then again, if you've got a label where you only necessarily need to change one design element or two, like a name, like a small name and a color.
Taking out American.
Yeah, taking out American, or just putting a new name on the front and changing the color of the stripe.
They charge you per hour. Yeah.
Yeah, so they charge you per hour, and all the letters are made up, so it's not very hard to just do it, because you pay them initially to do that sort of thing.
Sure.
So, like if you had your label was entirely blue and it said beer time across the front, and underneath it had the style. So then the next one's completely yellow, still says beer time, and then you just change the style. Those are two things that change: just the color, which is a fill, and just the one text change, which can be done. Like if you've got the file yourself, you could probably do it yourself.
I'm seeing it now. I'm just looking here.
Yeah, that's what.
But they're completely different.
No, they do change on mine, but like that would be a great one. It's like
Yes.
and Union's just. If you look at them, they just change the color and use a different font. And it's so bright.
Don't you find that? I hate using this. It's genius, but it's irritating.
Yeah.
Because why didn't you think of that?
Oh, I consciously tried not to copy Rui because he's a friend of mine, and so actively I have to go. That's too and union-y, in at times. So
pull the handbrake.
Yeah, no, I can't do that. It's so that in that aspect, in terms of marketing, just spend it once, 15,000 rand, and you will get in the ballpark of that, and you will get the product you need, the way your product should look at least, and then you can focus on making excellent beer.
Great way to just say that I am a graphic designer, and I do design beer labels for those of you who are interested. A quick shout out to Lucy, who is running her Brewing Beyond the Basics this weekend at Banana Jam. Did you know that if you say Banana Jam on the show, you get a free beer whenever you visit?
Oh, really?
Banana Jam.
I feel like there's a carrot now. Banana Jam.
Yeah, there we go.
Well, I actually went to Banana Jam 3 weeks ago. That's where we decided to do this over a beer.
Well, look at that. You just scored yourself two free beers
Banana
from Greg.
Jam.
Except 3. So Lucy is running her Brewing Beyond the Basics, which is, I think it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, this weekend. And it's essentially for, I suppose, homebrewers who want to go to the next level and know a little bit more about beer. But it's also about people who want to actually enter the commercial side of brewing and who who haven't got any formal education in the brewing sphere. So this is a great stepping stone. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You get in meals, you get in beer tastings, you get in sensory tests, you get in different brewers come in and speak about different aspects.
And Lucy's been around forever. She knows
Lucy
everything.
knows her stuff.
She knows the industry backwards.
She's going. There's a behind the scenes CBC tour. I'd imagine led by Wolfgang. So it's definitely worth it. I think it was just over $2,000, 2,100, and as you said earlier, that's money well worth spent.
Yeah, it's
If you are actually serious about brewing beer or wanting to enter the beer markets, please. It doesn't even have to be Lucy. I'm not saying that Lucy to upset you, but I'm just saying people need to get some type of education
absolutely.
and just at least know a thing or two about beer.
I still read about beer all the time. I read books and white papers and all sorts of stuff. You don't stop learning.
No.
Ever.
I know that a few guys who've taken the course have gone on to open their brewery. One being such Roscoe, my buddy, who is up in Durban now, or Moy River, and he is, I think, about a month away from opening his brewery. So good luck to Roscoe.
What are they called? Moy River Brewing Company.
No, he wanted to call it Roscoe's, and then I said to him, listen, bud.
I'm glad you talked him out of that.
Just listen to what I talked him into. I said, don't call it Roscoe's. I think you need to go with something a little bit more lekker, like something with a landscape of, there's rich history in KZN. They've got the Drakensberg Mountains, you've got
absolutely, yeah,
Zululand and all this stuff. But he went with Happy Days Brewing Co.
Oh, I actually like that though. That's nice.
Do you like that?
Yeah, I like that. It's better than Roscoe's.
It's better than
Roscoe's. Is like it's like your uncle's beer.
Roscoe's is like a ribbon chips place where you go for
exactly.
a milkshake.
You can get a nice Gatsby at Roscoe's.
Yeah.
But
so you prefer Happy Days?
Yeah, Happy Days is great.
Okay, Roscoe, if you're listening, you've got the approval.
No, because it would be like Happy Days.
Happy Days.
Come on, it's awesome.
He's going to give me shit now. You're like, I told you, man. Okay, let's just a reminder. Go check out Brewing Beyond the Basics with Lucy Korn this weekend if you're interested in going the next level in terms of making beer or getting into the craft beer scene. I think you can go on to her website, Brewmistress, or just search. Search #BeerTime on Facebook, and you will see the link. I'll post the link. Right, let's play some music because we are finished with our second beer, and we will play. Oh, is that song? I had this one. Okay, we'll see you guys in a few minutes. Ciao, ciao. So welcome back. It is #BeerTime with me, T-Bone Troy.
Sounds like Grimes.
Hello, Gary from Citizen.
Hello.
So before we crack open our next beer, I do want to talk about. Let's crack open the beer. Because
let's do that.
It's just silly.
It makes things much easier.
Silly T-Bone wanting to talk without a beer in front of him.
I'm disappointed. I forgot the Sabatier. I don't know how I did that.
That's okay.
It's my red-headed stepchild, since it's got an orange label.
Oh, really? Why?
It's not really, but I'm trying to make a joke.
And okay. That was a Sabatier. And that was the Diplomat was the peacemaker between the Alliance and the Sabatier. So what's next?
Next would be the Patriot.
So...
Oh no, sorry. Next is actually...
Guardian?
No, it's Patriot, then...
The lager
Patriot, then... Patriot is the next one.
This Patriot?
Yeah. I should know. I was in Vietnam, actually, when it launched.
You were in Nam?
I was in Vietnam, yeah, at the time. Well, I mean, obviously, I brewed it...
I'm noticing there's one missing here.
It's Sabatier that's missing.
What about your light lager?
That's the light lager.
Ah, but it says lager here.
No, doesn't it? South Africans don't like the word light on their craft beers.
To hell with them, man.
No, people were going... Again, these are lessons you learn just by being in the industry. So it used to say light lager, and we thought it would work. We thought because it's lighter, it's lower in calories, it's 4%, it's light-bodied, it's only 13 IBUs. It's a very easy drinking beer, but it's still got a lot of malt flavor in there. So So we thought,
I thought it was brilliant.
yeah, me too.
You were probably the first craft brewery to bring us a light beer.
Yeah.
And I'd been talking the hind legs off a donkey to Ross from Jack Black, saying there's a wave coming of light beers or low alcohol beers. Let's get on that.
Yeah.
And then your beers came out, and then just a wave of light beers followed.
Yeah, but you know, it's interesting, and I read it. I also read it in Jim Cook's book. He's the guy who owns Boston Brew Company in the States, and he also released a light lager, and it also didn't work very well for him because in craft it's interesting because obviously people want to keep drinking craft beer and then stay within the category. And I was trying to provide them a product so that they wouldn't have to step out and go for that light beer that tastes like nothing. But there's also this pushback where if I'm going to be buying a craft product, it must be craft, not light.
Yes.
You know, the word light has a negative connotation because of all these other light products.
Doctrined into us.
Yeah, so it is, it fulfills everything that it needed to, and it's a great tasting beer, and lots of people love it. It's just that word light created a lot of pushback, unfortunately. So yeah, we just removed it, just like with American.
Just like that. It obviously was a bit of an experimental phase with the lights, because you don't see it anymore.
No.
And it obviously was just what you said, that little bit of a kickback from the market. Like,
yeah, I mean, because there's
if I'm going to drink a light beer, I'm going to drink Castle Light.
Yeah, there's 20
Windhoek Light.
There's 20 craft lagers. We thought we'd offer something different. Again, something to just be different and let people try something else. But yeah, people weren't having it.
Let's talk about, speaking of predictions in the market and current waves, let's look at what you think are going to be upcoming predictions or upcoming movements in the craft beer scene. Before we get to that, two things. Lucy has just tweeted saying that you can go to her website, which is brewmistress.coza. That's brewmistress.coza. That's if you want to sign up for the Brewing Beyond the Basics course this weekend. She has tagged Two Oceans FM, which is a radio station in Australia, so not Two Oceans Vibe Radio. So that's going to be quite cool to get some Australian listeners involved.
Get some. It's doing a part for the tourism industry.
Yeah, but yeah, I encourage everyone to go check out Lucy's websites and sign up. And then, secondly, before we get to that question that I posed to you, the Southeaster Summerfest, which is happening 2 Sundays from now. So it's not this Sunday; it's the following Sunday. It's pretty much the annual Homebrewers Fest. The fest to go to if you are interested in beer, if you're interested in homebrew, if you're interested in trying just any crazy wacky beer that those guys come up with. I mean, I remember one year there was like a peanut butter bacon beer. There was a banana toffee pie,
amazing.
stout. So all these different these brewers, they really obviously they do make some hoppy amber ale, but then there are some guys who really just
that's
totally push the boat out. And
that's the wonderful freedom of being able to brew at home. You can go mad. You can make something crazy, and it's small. It's not
20 liters maybe.
Yeah, it's not something that will hurt you.
If your friends don't drink it, you can always neck it, and
exactly.
It's cheap booze. So yes, if you are interested in going to the Southeaster Summer Festival, please check it out. It's this year. It's at the wonderful Jack Black Brewing Co. in Deep River, and tickets are $120. You get a tasting glass, and then that's it. You go around and you taste the different brews, free little tasters, and then you essentially vote for your favorite homebrew. And I think you still vote with a marble. That's what it was when I was there. You got a marble, 2 marbles, and you drop the marble in a cup, and that was your vote for your favorite brew. So it's a fun day out. It is kid friendly.
Bring your own marbles.
Bring your own. Sure, I don't know about that.
Cheat.
Yeah, I think they every year they bring different marbles. But yeah, so go check out that Southeaster Summerfest. I'm sure if you Google it or Facebook it, you will find the link of where to get tickets and stuff, or you can just buy at the door. Right. While we're drinking this beer, let's talk about this beer and come back to that question, because I haven't had a sip yet. So if you just excuse me. Very on the smell. It's very malty, porridgey.
Yeah, we use a single malt on that, and again with the water profile, pushing up the elements, the minerals that help the malt flavors come to the fore, like sodium and chloride. So those are things. So we wanted it to have that still malty, because if you're going to make a light-bodied, easier drinking lager, you still want it to have flavor. Not just be watered down, not brew in 8% and just water it down to 4%. So we wanted that malt quality to be in there. And I also wanted to use a hop that was slightly uncommon in lagers, which is East Kent Golding, which is typically used in ales and English style beers. So I used East Kent Golding as the hop instead of your regular German Helletar or something like that, just to give it just that slight bit of uniqueness that you typically won't find if you're just going to drink a lager. They all have that grassy German noble hop flavor. So just something a bit different, something a little like fruitier, it's a little spicier. So because it's got a hint of like this white pepper spiciness to it. So
were you a bit hesitant in introducing a lager? I know we started with a light lager, but
I never wanted to make a lager, no.
But you obviously, when you launched it, you thought, okay, cool, you're not going to just make a generic SAB lager, because I mean, obviously SAB do make nothing wrong with them. They make great lagers.
Castle Lager's a fine beer. It's a good American style lager.
So good. I'm just asking, were there any hesitations? What were they?
Yeah, I mean, from a beer lover and craft maker's perspective, from when I first started, I never wanted to make a lager, ever. Just because there was so much, I didn't see the point in it, because there is so much lager, and so many different styles, and even the breweries here had their own. So I just didn't see the point in it. But from a business perspective, it is important to have a lager. It is the best-selling beer in the country, and I think for all the craft beer companies that are that are successful in South Africa, I think the lager is probably their best-selling beer.
Is that true for Citizen?
No, actually, Alliance is still our best-selling beer. But
amen.
Yeah, which is great. So it from a business perspective, it is quite important to actually have a lager, because it gets you in the door at a lot of venues.
Yeah.
It gets people engaging your product, people who like lager, and from there trying other things. So from a business perspective, it's very important to have. And
it's the bread and butter.
It's the bread and butter of the industry, absolutely. So that's my business partner Hugo has been asking me to make a lager from sort of just after Alliance came out, and I kept saying no. And I kind of regret that, only in the business sense, because we would be a lot more successful in a sense. But I'm happy about when we did do it and where we are with it now.
Yeah.
And so that was the reticence, and also how do you separate yourself from all these other products? How do you make it slightly different? So I went for just a single malt, a single hop, and a slight, variation in the flavors. Like this is slightly sweeter, it's like honeyish in a way.
It does have a bit of a...
Yeah, so it's got in the malt, in that bready malt, you've got like a sweet honey with a slightly bitter, spicy hop, which is nice. And so very popular with some people. They say it's the best lager they've ever had. It won a medal in the South African National Beer Trophy. I don't know about the best lager they've ever had, but that's a very nice compliment to give.
Did you get some stickers to put on the bottle?
Oh no.
You're not a fan of that, or?
I think sometimes they're like warning labels on some because I think for some people they can look at it, especially if you're trying again. I've always considered people coming into the market. I'm always interested in the market growing and expanding.
Yeah.
People who have been drinking craft beer for a few years, you're not going to trick them or change. Well, not trick them. You're not going to change their opinions or whatever. I'm always trying to get more people in. So I'm thinking like if you, I think
sounds like you've got a plan and you're sticking to it.
Well, yeah,
I've
got a vision for our route and the way. I just want more people drinking craft beer. That's it. It's very simple. I mean, I'm not trying to make 1 billion rand. I'm not, trying to dominate the market. I just want more people coming in and more people drinking it and loving it. It is a wonderful. Loving beer has given me so much joy in terms of out of what you can taste and the things you've drunk
and the people you've
and
met.
the people you meet. Absolutely,
Hello.
like you. No, but like being in Australia and sitting on the beach drinking. This amazing pale ale that tastes incredible, and it's like, our memories are made by the things we hear, smell, and taste, and it's like, it's part of that. So, it's brought a lot of joy, and I just want to sort of share that love. Making something, if you're a home brewer, like, there's nothing better than tasting or smelling that vert the first time you're boiling it, It's like, it's the best, it's one of the best feelings. I remember distinctly, my friends and I, we looked at each other.
Drinking warm beer.
And we just went to each other, it smells just like SAB, the brewery in Newlands,
Yes.
So yeah, it's a...
Given that, I don't know, for me when I first made homebrew, I just wanted to make a 3 rand beer. just know that I could drink 3 rand beer.
Yeah, my thing is always to get more people in, and those stickers, I think sometimes someone will see a sticker and they go, well, that's too crafty for me.
Oh, really?
Like they'll go, oh, gold medal, that doesn't, that means it's good, but it's a bit too crafty,
Cool.
Like,
no,
that's sort of what I worry
Look,
about.
I hear where you're coming from, and I also respect that you have a vision. I mean, you've started with a very clear identity or visual identity on who you guys are and what you want to represent, so that's fine. Like, it's good to see that there's not everyone's just kind of following the same path and following there's people that are branching off and do things differently and sticking to their guns. Or
it's the whole thing that's wonderful about this category, this industry, this product, is that there are 100 ways to do it.
Yeah.
There's so much variety. It's like why we have a English IPA and there's American IPA. There's two. That's just two. The Imperials and whatever. But like there's just variety. You can do 100 different ways and still and it will still be what it is, and people will still love it and find joy for it. It's a wonderful world to be in.
it is a wonderful world to be in. Not to hamper on the lager side of things, but I do just want to kind of wrap up because I know that there are some brewers who are listening, and we spoke about lager being bread and butter. Ironically, lager is the hardest beer to make.
Yeah.
In the different categories. So, by all means, find a beer that is going to be your breadwinner. It's just going to make, you're going to be constantly making it, selling it. Doesn't have to be a lager, but if it is a lager, then so be it. But
blondes are pretty popular.
Just blondes are popular. Even like a, you can make a pale ale and just call it a session beer.
I think it burped into the mic there.
Dude, it's not the first time.
Find a very, I think it's to not be cynical, because obviously a lot of people in the industry want to be pure, in a sense, but it is a business, and you do need something that ticks over, fills your tanks, empties your tanks, fills your kegs, empties your kegs, week to week, month to month, so that you can do the more interesting things.
If you are looking at going...
Yeah, so definitely make a beer that is not necessarily what you think the best beer in the world is.
Nano to macro.
Yeah, it doesn't, it doesn't have to be a gold medal winning beer. It just has to be a beer that people love, because sometimes what people love isn't what the judges are looking for.
Sure.
Like, you look at some fancy foods in, 3-star Michelin restaurants, and you look at like a lasagna next to it, and you're like, well, I want the lasagna.
Yes.
And
that's going to make me happy.
That's going to make me happy, So there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Just because it's a session beer like a lager or blonde doesn't mean it needs to be simple. It can be like a multiple hops and grains that go into it.
In our market, it's necessary. In South Africa, wouldn't know about the rest of the world.
Let's move on to our next beer. We've got 2 more beers left in the old bag.
Should we leave? The next one would be Pacifist, but it's quite rich. So should we leave that for last? Because I think it might drown out Guardian.
So you brought up Pacifist first, then the Pale.
Yeah.
Then
so basically,
let's go with. I'd like that. Let's go with the Guardian.
This being the Patriot, you've got this conflict, and you've got this peace talks,
diplomats,
and then out of it comes the Patriots. The people are fighting for what they believe in, and that's where the Patriots come in. So the next one
Love it.
was pacifist, because now, sick and tired of all this political nonsense, you just got some people standing back just trying to have a good time. You know, just trying to enjoy life. And that's a beer you're supposed to drink over like 30 minutes and
Yes.
take your time with, by the fireplace, in the rain, dog on your lap, book in your hands.
And then, I mean, we might as well finish the story with the Guardian. What's the Guardian?
So Guardian is, once, it all sort of settles out, you need people who keep the peace now that has been found amongst everyone. And then you have the Guardians. And also, being an American pale ale, Americans sort of think of themselves as the guardians of the world anyway. So I thought it was a lovely little tie-in in that sense. So yeah, that's where the name finally Guardian comes in. The next one might be something like traitor, defector,
Espionage.
turncoat,
Yes.
someone who then like tries to rile up all this peace again and bring it back down, just create turmoil. The Loki-like character.
Like a revolutionist.
Yeah.
Okay, I can come up with some words.
It's wonderful. We do it.
I am going, just to get a little bit nerdy on you and some of the guests listening, I am, believe it or not, reading a book.
Oh my gosh!
And
How big are the words?
the words are micro. They are so small. I'm might be embarrassing myself here, but I do it every week on #VietTime. It takes me 5 minutes to read a page.
Jeepers.
And the book is 800 pages long. It's bigger than Long Walk to Freedom. It's bigger than Lord of the Rings.
You're reading The Infinite Jest or something?
I am reading. I'm getting deep on everyone here. It's called Alexander Hamilton. He's one of the founders of American. America.
Yeah, and there's that wonderful Hamilton play about him that you can't get tickets to in America.
And that's what we saw. Lauren and I saw last year. In
You
September.
actually watched it?
We were very lucky.
Lucky, yeah.
We were there for 3 days, and a friend was like, "Hey, here's a wedding present for you guys."
Wow.
And so we got to see it. And I've been absolutely entranced by American history since then.
Yeah,
I've been researching, reading up.
the period of the Founding Fathers is fascinating.
Absolutely fascinating. So I've started this book. I'm on page 40, whatever, of 800.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely, I'm so fixed on it and absorbed by it. And anyway, why I'm talking about that is because you're talking about patriots and diplomats and guardian.
Yeah.
And it's, I'll highlight some words when I'm reading again, and I'll think of you, and I'll send you
Please
some
do.
suggestions.
I actually found a beer that Benjamin Franklin wrote down in one of his diaries, and I was tempted to try and brew it. But again, it's one of those like weird offshoot things that I would love to do if I had a tap room, because you can put it on tap and actually have an audience to sell it to. Like here, it would be so hard to go, because the restaurants are quite set in their ways. It's like, hey, take this new product and convince your staff who change all the time to sell it to people. It becomes quite hard. So yeah, and our minimum brew size is 2,000 liters. So
yeah,
that's a lot of beer to try and push off when you're making some weird beer that's got like lavender in it.
Let's crack open this guy.
Yeah, let's go for it.
And while I'm opening it, and leading on from that question, I mean, if you do want to do some experimental, have you thought about some collabs?
Yeah, I have. I've spoken to a couple guys. I did chat with Sean Duthie, actually. I wanted to make
The Sean Duthie.
The Sean Duthie.
I think his wife might be listening.
Yeah, I think she was earlier. So yeah, no, Sean and I wanted to make an imperial barrel aged, because I've got this bourbon barrel that I got from the States. American oak, not French. It's only been used twice, once for bourbon, once for whiskey. So it's still got that strong bourbon flavor in it. So I wanted to make a bourbon barrel aged imperial stout with Sean, and it would be something we would probably brew around May, so that it'd be ready in December. But then December's the middle of summer, and then it's not the right time for imperial stout, so you'd have to brew it in December.
It's an investment beer.
Yeah, it's an investment beer.
It's always when you want to drink it.
Yeah.
That you need to wait another year.
Exactly.
I'm in the exact same boat. I've also got a barrel. I think it's a sherry barrel or something.
Yeah.
And it's.
This is 300 liters, so it's like 200 and whatever, 220 liters.
You can't drink it in a month or 2 months. It's just going to be too harsh.
Yeah, you got to
Especially, I'd imagine you'd be pushing for 10% alcohol.
Yeah, it would definitely be. Well, I think the original. I sent through a mock-up recipe to him, and I think it was 11.3. Trying to remember now, but no. So yeah, that's the thing. I would like to, because 200 liters seems to be about the sweet spot of a system size, to make those sort of once-off batches that you can still move in a reasonable amount of time, because you don't want it to just sit around and get weird.
I need to get on that. I'll probably just make a 40-liter batch with the homebrew system, but I need to make it so that at least next year we've got something.
Yeah.
Not just thinking about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite hard for us. I mean, at our scale now to just add new products. It'd be nice to do a once-off. I know, like Devil's Peak constantly pushing out these once-offs, which is fantastic. That with cans, it's so nice because you just put a stick. Yeah, but for us, it's quite costly to do, because you need the box and the labels and it just. So yeah, it would be nice to be able to do once-offs each year, but I don't think we have quite the same size audience as them. They're everywhere. They're doing well.
Quick sidetrack. Quick random question, but not random, but hypothetical question. Let's say you didn't have Citizen, or let's say someone came to you and said, "Listen, please help me start this craft brewery brand.
Yeah.
What should I do?" How would it be different from when you first started, and would there be a different route to markets?
I would say it would probably be quite hard. It's very saturated. There's most of the it's you would have to, as we said, get a good designer, get them to create your vision properly. Making choices, like I said, where you just have to change one or two elements between labels, so that you don't have a lot of cost every time you expand. With your box, it would be the same thing, because you just got to look at your packaging, because packaging costs people think about last, and they sneak up on you. They get quite pricey.
For sure.
So if you get a box that, again, you only have to change one element on, so it's only one plate. You don't have to do 3 different plates per new box.
Yep.
So even if it's just a thing like changing the color of the box, which is what we've eventually moved to after 5 years, like an idiot. Those are the 2 things to start. Get your design, get your packaging, and make them so that you never have to spend money on them again. The first beer, you would have to make one beer that you really want to make, and one beer that will sell very well to the South African market. If it's the same beer, then that's awesome. But yeah, you would need something like a blonde or a lager, or a golden ale, or whatever it may be, something that's very accessible.
Would you advise to? Sorry to interrupt. Would you encourage or advise to do the contract routes, or just jump straight in and burn it?
It depends on. Yeah, I mean, if you can afford to scale up as you grow.
I mean, that was the thing back in the day.
Yeah, scale.
Jack Black, Darling.
Yeah, they
all started.
Yeah, we all were at the same brewery. Jack Black, Darling, me, and Boston at the same brewery. Boston's helped grow this industry massively by allowing these Jack Black and Darling to grow, and us too. So, if you can afford your own system and can then scale up as you grow, then yeah, go that route, because you have, more control. It's you have a. It can be more because obviously the people getting into this industry will want to be as hands-on as possible with the product. The other thing of the contract route, though, is you don't have a lot of the issues like staffing issues and electricity outages and stuff. Those obviously affect you because there's delays, but they're not technically your problem. So there's that small benefit to that. Or you could be like a gypsy brewer, like. I think it's the Mikkeler guy who goes around, gets his stuff brewed everywhere. He doesn't have his own brewery, but he gets his stuff brewed all over the world.
You're talking about last week's guest.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. So I mean, you can go the route, but yeah, in this country, that would be to start, and also look at getting on tap as much as possible, which is also a massive financial outlay.
Would you say taps more important than bottles?
Definitely. You sell more beer on tap. I mean, my business is 80-20. Kegs versus bottles. at least, or maybe I should know these numbers, but it's probably closer to 65, 35.
And isn't that interesting how it's a complete opposite for someone like SAB?
Yeah.
Where I think it is 80% of their profits come from the 750ml dumpies,
Yeah, really interesting.
where they have such a high turnover rate. We're talking about for example, the Black Label.
Black label quartz.
Yeah,
Castle
exactly.
quartz.
And it
Castle Light
just,
quartz.
it has a lifespan of seven refills, and it just, that's an average.
Yeah.
But it's getting full, going out, coming back in, and that is 80%. That's not a secret. That's a spoken fact. That when you go on their brewery tour, they say it. 80% of our sales and profits.
Different cities have different sort of markets. Like Joburg, it would be the flip. I'd sell 80-20 tap versus bottles versus tap.
Really?
Because in Joburg they don't have the same culture. Here in Cape Town, we would finish work, go to a bar, have a couple pints, maybe go out for dinner, or just go home.
Everything's so close.
Yeah, and exactly, that's the thing. Whereas in Joburg, after work, you got to drive an hour to get to where your house is. There's not bars nearby. People don't live close together like we do here.
Yeah.
So you're driving 40 minutes in one direction, your friend's driving 30 minutes in the other. Then you've got to arrange to meet, and then it's like a bit of a lust. So typically the culture there is to meet for a dinner. They'll have 1 or 2 pints and then sort of go home.
Yeah.
And if they do go out, they're drinking much more sessionable, longer, cheaper, and drink for longer beers. So they buy more to drink at home. They'll drink more at home. They'll buy more for braais and things and dinners at people's houses. So the bottle sales actually do much better over there than on tap. So yeah, it's different in every city. It's different wherever you go. But some places are just very quiet, like PE altogether. It's just a quiet life out there. So it's different cities have different things, but it's depending on where you are.
So to summarize, the question we asked was what advice would we give to new brewers starting out, and that would be put some effort and time and money into your marketing and design. It's a once-off cost at most of the time. Find a good brew recipe that you're happy with, whether it's, if you've got the funding for your own brewery, go ahead, do it. If you don't, do a little contract brew. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, there's lots of people looking to fill their volumes.
Exactly. And then preferably, I know it's easier said than done, but go on tap.
Yeah.
Flip, man, even if you find a friend of a friend who has a bar and they're happy to take on a craft beer, oh my God, it better be a good beer, please. Otherwise you're shooting us all in the foot.
Yeah, you're not doing us any favors.
Which is why you need to go to Lucy's Brewing Beyond the Basics, people.
At Banana Jam.
At Banana Jam. With Greg Casey. So yeah. This I like. Thank you, Mr. Guardian.
Yeah, it's I actually based this off the beers I was drinking in Oz. There they have very light-bodied, pale ales, and fruity hops.
Just gonna
not
say,
very bitter.
Very fruity.
Very fruity, yeah. And it's so they don't have those those darker, more malty sort of pale ales, or like nothing like rich and strong like a Sierra Nevada sort of thing. So it's very light, very pale, slightly crisp. It's perfect they have very similar weather to us. It's 30 odd degrees out, and you can drink like 3 or 4 of them. This is only 5%. It's it's lovely. So I based it off that. I actually use a hop from Tasmania in it called Galaxy, which is a fantastic hop. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Now people are going to copy me. Please. No.
Of course not.
No.
Let them.
No, please. More people using Galaxy, the better, the happier I will be, because I love that hop. Galaxy, Mosaic, Citra, Cascade, please. Thanks, everyone. No one's ever heard of those hops.
I just had a little bit of a brain fart where I could branch off into different directions. But let's rein it back in, Troy, and let's. We're going to take. I was planning on doing a music break, so let's
see
do
you were doing that.
A music break.
Shall I talk about something else quickly?
I was listening, by the way.
No, sure.
But let's. We'll take a quick music break, and then we have one more beer, a final beer for the show, and we will see you guys in a few seconds. We'll see you now. Ciao, ciao. Two Oceans Vibe Radio. You just said off air there. the professional. You're not the professional.
I know, I'm a
which is
professional.
insinuating I'm
you're
the
the
professional.
professional at radio, at
and
least.
I don't know what you mean. I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm going to take more of this Guardian. Sorry.
There's no professional. Okay, so we said off air that like all hoppy beers, it's best to have them fresh.
Yeah.
And it was something was speaking about issues in markets, troubles in the trade. You know, where you make a beer, it leaves the brewery, it's delicious. You know it's delicious, but then it's out of your hands. There's no cold storage. There's no monitoring in terms of when it gets to the warehouse, when it gets to the bottle store, when it gets to the restaurant, where it's being kept. It's probably being stored next to the fridge, which is blowing out hot air.
I mean, with our distributors, I make sure they all have cold storage. Like, there's only one who doesn't, but I know he only buys what he needs for the week and moves it on. So that doesn't bother me.
Fine.
But yeah, but there's still bad stock rotation. I had one distributor return, I think, 10 cases of Saboteur to me. It had the date August 2015.
When was that? Recently?
Yeah, and they collect stock from me every week. And so that's just that kind of stock rotation, and you don't know whether the guys in the warehouse who aren't looking at these labels and they just see the boxes and they just put it August 2015 on a thing,
Sure.
and someone gets it at and then it goes out to, let's say, somewhere in the Free State, and then someone gets it only a month later because it doesn't move that fast up
Yep.
there, and then it's like you've got this 3.5-year-old beer that someone's trying and going, that doesn't taste great, and that affects the industry, you know. So that's the frustrating thing. That's the main thing. So yeah, once it leaves your hands, then you just sort of have to trust that it gets treated well.
Yeah, we were chatting about why, and we've chatted about it on the show before, why wine gets such a step up, a leg up,
So much care.
leg over, whatever it's called, and why it gets treated right. You know, you're not gonna. The majority of the time, you're not going to get wine that's kept in bad conditions because people know that it needs to be in cool temperatures, X, yada, 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 ice buckets.
Treated with a certain reverence.
Sure. So I kind of feel that it's lacking in the beer fronts. It will get there. And I think we're going to have a few players now who are going to start pushing beer appreciation. That's the big word for the end of the show.
It's also French.
Appreciation. And I am thinking the big guys. I am thinking SAB, who do care about beer and do want people to respect beer.
They're InBev now. I call them AB.
No, I refuse to call them that. I call them SAB. And it's also players like the Craft Brewers Association of South Africa, which the newly formed association, looking at educating and standing up for the craft brewers and being a voice and actually getting this industry into a professional era.
Yeah. And getting representation
all
in
that
government
stuff and
legislations and things like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, I don't know what it's called, this is going to be embarrassing, but I'm pretty sure there's a South African wine organization.
Oh, there's probably 10.
There are a few.
Yeah.
And they all are pushing for quality, better products, better, cheaper materials so they can have a better product. Anyway.
Rebates, etc. from the government.
All that jazz. Yeah. Exciting times, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
Believe it or not, we are not talking politics or money.
Don't even know what politics
We are
is.
talking beer. And it is #beer time. Gary from Citizen, we've had the Alliance, the
Saboteur.
We
spoke about
Saboteur, we had the Diplomat, the Guardian, and and the Patriots, and we're on to our final beer, and we've spoken about this beer. You and I.
Yeah.
This is the Pacifist, the Winter Porter. So this was obviously the beer that came before the Guardian.
Yeah.
The
brewed in March to be ready for June.
So I'm just having a look here.
That doesn't have.
Is this an old bottle?
It's the older style label, yeah, but it's got the ingredients on the edge there.
Well, the
But I'll
reason
talk
the
about
reason
this beer for years. I love this beer.
the reason I said is it the old label because all your blah. This is what happens on hashtag Beer Time. I lose my words. On the newer labels, you've got your best before date, which I applaud you for, and thank you. You know, I still think it's something that SAB do that I just can't believe. They put the best before date on the bottle, and you like hold it up to the light.
No,
You're like, where the fuck is this best before date? I think one step further, we need brewers to have a manufacture date.
Yeah.
So for your hoppy beers, and this is what a buddy from the States said to me, when he looks for hoppy beers, he looks at when it was bottled.
Yeah, which is smart. I mean, with ours, you just take 6 months off our best before, and that's when it was brewed.
Exactly.
So, I mean, we have a 6-month shelf life.
Unfortunately, the folk out there aren't that
Well,
good with the maths.
-6 is hard.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we've got a 6-month shelf life. So if you just take 6 off whenever the best before is, then that's when it was brewed. I know that beer is almost a year old now.
I just smelt the when it opened. I'm just giving myself a moment.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite beers to make. It's the most involved, the most complex. I make my own cocoa extract. I make my own vanilla extract. It's a wonderful. It's a fun beer, and I love my dark beers. So this is the reason I have a pot belly, because last March I was verging back on my 6-pack, and now I look like an old dad.
Is that why you call it the winter porter?
Well, the winter porter is because I didn't want to classify it within one style of dark beer. You got your English porters, which are quite sweet and light. You got your American porters, which are
myself a little bit more
very
in.
hoppy and bold.
Yeah.
And I wanted to sort of straddle the two. So, and I also wanted to allow myself the ability to change the ingredients each year if I chose.
Yes.
So if I wanted to throw cherries in one year or cinnamon, whatever, I'd have that freedom because it's not defined by a single name. You just say winter porter, beer that makes you think of winter. So with this, it's chocolate, coffee,
Cheap as
winter vanilla.
Just for the people listening, this is actually, it smells
It's pitch black.
incredible. It's
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna do my best at trying to describe what I'm picking up in terms of the nose. Okay, so I'm getting more vanilla than chocolate or coffee.
Mm-hmm.
When I first opened the bottle, I got a bit of coffee.
Yeah.
And there is that cacao sweetness coming through. So, but you didn't add any coffee, or
No.
so that's purely from the
malts.
darker roasted malts.
Absolutely, yeah. No,
Amazing.
I use 3 different kinds of dark malts in this. 2 different kinds of caramel malts.
Can you tell us?
Yeah, chocolate.
Just tell us the dark malts.
mild chocolate, dark chocolate, and black patent.
Ooh.
Those are the 3, and then I also use dark crystal, and just your regular sort of 50 crystal, and then base malt. Those are and oats. There's 10% of the grain bill is oats.
So that's quite a complex grain bill.
Yeah, it's a very complex grain bill.
Why? And I apologize if you did answer this because I have been drinking. Why not a stout?
Stouts have, again, it's the education thing. Stouts have quite a negative connotation with most people you speak to with dark beer. They go, oh no, I hate stouts. Even this, you go, oh no, I'm not going to drink that, I hate stout. Like, just see dark, they think stout. And people go, I don't like stout, which is surprising. But
Yeah.
So I wanted to make, and also I personally prefer porters. I like the slight sweet tone to them, where stouts are obviously slightly more bitter and dry. In America, I think it's actually the other way around. But anyway, so yeah, I wanted to make something that could, educate and teach and
Sure.
and allow me to run free. And I feel like the porter allows that more.
Oh well, thank you very much for keeping this.
Yeah, I mean,
year-old beer, and this is the beer that you can age for a year.
yeah. After a
It's-
year, it will start to develop. It will start to oxidize a little, and then
General rule of thumb to the people listening: hoppy beers shouldn't be aged,
No.
whereas your sweeter, high-alcohol beers can be aged.
and especially darker beers, because there's a lot of astringency from the malts when you first. This beer is made in March, finishes in April, sits for 2 months, and then I sell it for the malts to get an opportunity to mellow out and meet each other and just become like a more rounded beer. And that's why the oats are there. The oats are there to give that smooth, creamy mouthfeel. Obviously adds a hint of flavor. and then you've got the darker malts for the chocolate and coffee, and then you've got the vanilla extract that I make from Ugandan vanilla, which has a nice mocha quality as opposed to that very floral, sharp vanilla flavor from the Madagascan. And then, I make my own cocoa extract with coconuts.
And the
100% cocoa.
oats add a creaminess.
Yeah, creaminess, yeah. Home brewers, you can literally use Jungle Instant Oats. It's the same stuff. I just buy a giant bag of it.
We just did that.
2 giant bags.
Not to get sidetracked, but that's what happens on #BeerTime. I just brewed last week Thursday with the talented Mr. Tatenda from Old Potter's Inn. He's the brewer there. We made a oatmeal stout for the upcoming Fools and Fans Festival. I know that all the brewers who've been invited, they've been asked to make a experimental batch or a once-off batch for the festival. So that's always very exciting, and we're gonna see what it tastes like. So I'm a little bit apprehensive, a little bit nervous, because I've never made 400 liters. I've never made anything more than 50 liters.
It's hard, you can't just scale immediately, and everything cools and heats up differently.
You can't?
Oh, no. times by 8.
Yeah, exactly. No, luckily I do have some software where they just say, okay, cool, what is your upscale? So you just adjust it like that. So we'll see. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I probably shouldn't give my secrets away, but who cares? I always see what the beer tastes like, and then I kind of judge what kind of style that should be. So we'll see. It's either going to be a porter or a stout. But back to this beer.
Water profile, very important with your darker beers like this. You need to make sure you have like good residual alkalinity to support the scramble, so it doesn't come across too stringent and keeps your pH at the right levels when you're mashing.
Not to get too technical, but just in a nutshell, what do you mean? Like, why is it important for your pH? I mean, when people think of pH, they think of that's what's neutral? Is it 5.6, 5.7?
Neutral is 7. Completely
Really?
neutral is 7. Yeah.
Okay.
Goes up to 14 and down to 1.
Okay.
So 7 is completely neutral. We mash normally 5.4. So I think that's just the standard. Everyone's.
Yeah.
So different grains will change the mash pH differently, and obviously you add things to try and balance that out. You either add more alkali to bring it back up, or you take some acid in to bring it back down. Depending on, I've just never had to add an acid, I don't think, to bring it down. To bring it up. I'm going backwards. But so you just want to make sure you can hit the right spot, and then also provide enough sort of fuel for the style of beer you're making in terms of minerals to allow certain things to pop. Your hoppier beers, you want higher sulfates. Your maltier beers, you want higher chlorides and sodiums.
And just
you've got to be careful with those, because we have very low threshold for chlorine.
Yes.
So too much chlorine and you can taste it and it's awful.
And
Doesn't taste like chlorine.
You chuck it away.
You get Band-Aids. Yeah.
And that's why people ask, why is it when you go to a certain location, or you go to, for example, an easy example is Ireland. When you go to Dublin and you taste the Guinness, it just tastes delicious, because the beer made there, they're using the natural water, and around the world you get different mineral contents within those different water bodies.
Yeah.
So that's why Dublin make that delicious stout. Why German beers are the lagers and the pilsners.
They're all defined by their location.
Sure.
The Pilsen water is a thing. The Pilsner wouldn't have been what it was if it wasn't for the water that was like Pilsen being so soft.
Yeah.
It's a big part of it. So I'm just saying, for anyone making dark beer, just make sure, darker beers, just make sure you've got your water profiles balanced up. And it's quite hard to do at home, because you've got to find out what the water is coming out your tap. And if you can get an email back from your council municipality actually telling you what it is, you'll be very lucky. So,
well, there is, if anyone is interested, and I'm pretty sure there's a small percentage.
I'm sure Lucy probably talks about that at Banana Jam
for her upcoming Brewing Beyond the Basics course. Yes, I'm sure she does. In fact, I think it's the Sean Duthie who's the water expert.
Oh, no, yeah, we've spoken about water before.
He is. He knows his water. He knows his beer, but he also knows his water.
God, I hope he isn't listening and thinking I'm talking nonsense now.
No, he's probably gonna. No, you know what?
I'm not.
He. We don't speak nonsense here on Hashtag with them. Where was I? For those, the small percentage.
Oh, you were talking about the festival.
The small percentage listening. I've completely lost train of thought, and the people.
It's
are
because the pacifist is that good.
The
He's
pacifist-
feeling very pieced out.
It's. I'm just trying to think. Come on. Ah, you know what?
Dark beers, cocoa.
You know what?
I was talking about the ingredients. I don't know.
You know what? Fuck it. Let's move on. We were talking about the Fools and Fans Festival, which is it's coming up to 3 weekends away, so we're almost there. It's very exciting, and tickets are actually starting to move quickly now. It tends to happen in Cape Town, where as the Summerfest, Southeaster Summerfest, people will know that the last week is only when people really buy tickets. Anything before that, Cape Town people kind of just and ah and see
Yeah.
what's on, what should they do. But that's the question that we never came back to, or maybe we did, and I wasn't listening.
I'll let you know.
Let's talk about the trends in the markets.
Oh, sure.
Where, I mean, we were speaking about the light
Yeah.
beers.
Well, I mean,
We've seen people go to a bit of more of a fruity, sour kind of level. Is there anything else that maybe you are aware of, or
well, I
it doesn't
mean,
have to be from your brand?
No,
but-
I mean, I can speak for when we started at the initial, like when I started in 2012 and what the market was like there. You know, it was definitely your multi red coloured pale ales, and then it moved on to your hoppier beer, and hoppier beer became quite a trend. And then now I'm seeing in the bar trade and the restaurant trade a big a return from the customers to far more accessible, easy drinking beers.
Yeah.
As people who've been drinking craft for like 6 years now, like, you know, every time I drink a beer, I don't want it to be an IPA. I just want something I can drink 4 of. So there's definitely a growth in the far more sessionable drinking beers, but in terms of what the brewers themselves are making in South Africa, there has been, as you say, souring beers, some in the barrel, some in the kettle, which is cool. I really like my sours. I'd love to make sour beers. Again, it's just a matter of scale and finding your audience. You know, with the tap room, it's great. You know,
Yeah.
like or place like if you had an inn at somewhere like Capital Craft, where you know people come there to drink delicious. This is a place that treats beer with reverence.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been to Capital Craft in Menlo.
I'm very
There's
sad that I haven't been. It's
Yeah.
in Pretoria.
Yeah, there's one in Menlo and there's one in Centurion. Yeah,
I need to make the journey.
yeah. There's one. If you ever go to the cricket, the cricket, it's quite close to the cricket in Centurion.
I will never go. To
I'm the cricket is the best sport in the world. So just
Yes, we spoke about that
Yes.
before the show.
yes,
You're an avid fan.
big fan. Going to the test next Thursday, all 5 days. Very excited.
Every single day.
Every single day. I watch every single minute.
Really? So you love it.
It's my favorite sport.
Quick question. What beer do you drink when you're there?
Castle Light.
It's fine.
I know it's great when you want to drink 10 of something. When you
Yeah.
want something wet and fizzy and 10. I don't drink 10, but it's normally Castle Light or
Just a tip to people listening. This is coming from your Uncle T-Bone. Do not drink beer in the sun because it will speed up your inebriation.
I sit in the shade, which is always good. God, it sounds pretentious. I always sit in the members, so we've got
Yeah.
permanent.
No, cool.
It's so lovely. I
Yeah.
rattle my jewelry at the people on grass.
Get them to kiss your forehead.
Just through as they lean through the fence, trying to touch us. No, so we've got. It's quite surprising. You would think that the members stand would have quite like a fancy bar with fancy stuff, but it's just like Castle Light quarters, Vinter quarters. But they do have. Oh, you know what I drink mostly actually? It's only the one bar downstairs that has it. They've got milk stouts. I love it.
Oh, lovely.
Castle milk stout's fantastic. So.
And we were chatting yesterday on the Tasting League, which is the WhatsApp group, we were trying to figure out the best SAB beer if you had to choose one.
Castle Milk Stout.
And a lot of people were saying Castle Milk Stouts.
It's excellent beer.
Someone even threw in a curveball saying, well, why don't you do a little mixer where you get the Castle Milk Stouts with 50-50 with the Castle.
Oh, yeah?
And you mix it because for some people the milk
It's
stout
quite rich,
is
yeah.
filling, and you can only have 1 or 2 or 3, which I'm tempted to try.
Yeah, I think I'll try that.
So whenever I go to
interesting.
one of those bars again, I'll try it. Weird sidetrack, which is completely normal for #BeardSound. You sent me a message by mistake. Hobbit cricket. What?
Oh gosh, Vernon Philander. If anyone watches cricket, he's one of the best bowlers in the world at the moment, and he's quite chubby. He's got a bit of a belly.
Okay.
So in cricket, you
must
have
enjoy his beer.
Yeah, no, he likes pasta actually.
Okay.
I saw an interview. He loves his pasta, and so he doesn't look like the type to train, and so. In cricket, they stop for breaks. You know, they have lunch, they have tea,
Sure.
they have drinks all the time. So we thought, we were joking, my friends and I, about how he's so excited that it's lunch, and every time it's after lunch, he comes out and he bowls even better because he just ate like a Gatsby or like a big Alfredo or something. So I said he would probably love playing Hobbit cricket because Hobbits have breakfast and second breakfast and then and then pre-lunch and lunch and after lunch. So. He would love Hobbit cricket because you'd get to eat blank.
It would be
Vernon, by the way, if you ever hear this, you're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he does listen.
No, I'm sure he does.
So every 5 overs, there's a meal break.
No, every sort of like 30 overs.
Okay. No, if you said to me, Troy, let's go play cricket, I'll probably say no straight up to you. But if you said, Troy, okay, every
15 you get a pint.
No, every 5. Every 5 overs, there's a drinks break. And when I say drinks, it's a...
gosh.
We'd have a refreshing beverage, a malty beverage.
T20.
And yeah, then that's... I would... Yes. Sign me up.
I'd be fascinated to
Sign me
watch
up.
people play cricket while stopping for a beer every 5 overs. It'd be interesting to watch the coordination disappear.
Don't you think there's a market for that? Because we've seen the 1 mile beer run.
That's incredible. I was about to bring that up.
It's an official
There's a guy
sports
there's a
in
guy
the UK where people run 4 laps around a track, which is a
400 meter track. Yeah,
it's a
4 laps.
8. It's a
400.
mile. It's
Yeah.
a mile. It's 1.6.
Exactly.
It's a mile. And when they go past, they start the race by downing a beer, and every time they go past that same spot, they have to down another beer.
Yep.
And you think, oh, cool, this is a student thing. Let's just go do it. But there are people, professional sportsmen, the skinny with what do you call those running shorts?
The poly shorts.
Poly shorts. If it goes too high, then you see stuff that you don't want to see. And it's an actual professional sport where people run and take it so seriously. So why not?
The guy who
do a little
set
cricket.
the record did it in 4 minutes and 38 seconds, if I'm not mistaken.
Minus 4 beers.
No, including the 4 beers.
No, but I'm saying minus. How long does it take to down a beer? Maybe give it 10 seconds.
Yeah. No. I mean, this is like a 4 minute mile. This guy's running. It's incredible.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and still downing a beer while doing it. Can you imagine?
Oh.
And you're rumbling in your belly and frothing. It must feel so bad.
They must have a little a spot to go pull off on the side afterwards.
There must be a station.
There must be a little chunder station. So, just to wrap that up, if you ever wanted to put together a cricket game with some beer folk, and
I'll be keen.
I'm not keen for cricket, but if you said to me, Troy, there's beer, I'll be like, cool.
I'm kind of built like Vernon right now. I'll bowl some outswingers.
And I will probably have a Gatsby during lunch. I can't believe it. I say this every time on every show, but it is 5 minutes to 2. We are nearing the end. We are basically at the end of the show. I guess it's only time to say thank you very much.
Absolutely, a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolute pleasure having you. I think,
Yeah.
as we said in the beginning of the show, I can't believe we don't drink enough together, you and I, because we
Yeah.
always seem to have a good time and talk nonsense.
This is good, eh?
This is I'm sad that it's done. This winter start winter quarter.
Water, yeah.
What's next for Citizen? Quick wrap up.
Yeah. I'm thinking, well, for us, it's more of the same. Just trying to get into more markets, get more people engaged with the product, drinking beer, getting into the category, finding other beers they like. You know, we don't mind being a stepping stone, and it's a niche. You know, like I'm happy to fill, and it's not like I'm the only one, but it's more of that. Just trying to get more people involved by being in more venues and getting more people trying the products and growing the industry, so that eventually everyone and their dog will be drinking craft beer.
What do you want the consumer to do?
Nothing more. I just engage. Try and find, because often people will say, "No, I tried a craft beer and I didn't like it," and you're like, "That's insane." You try one thing when there's so much variety. Even within a simple category like amber ale, there can be like 50 different amber ales. They all taste different. So it's just don't stop at one. It's like no one ever had one beer, because beer tastes awful the first time you drink it. You have to learn to like beer.
Sure.
So it's the same with craft. So just for the consumer, I'd say try more beers at least, to find what you do like and then drink that, so that this industry can grow. What I would really like for the industry itself is that things get cheaper for us to produce, because the price point is really reflective on our costs to produce. And if we can bring our costs down by government rebates or
tax
incentives, improved rand position, so our imports are cheaper, then that's great. Then we can bring the price down and be more in line with the mainstream products, which would be excellent.
Nothing wrong with that.
Absolutely.
More people drinking beer.
Yeah, that's really all I want. More people drinking beer.
More people drinking good beer.
And loving it.
Well, I think that's a great place to end. Thank you very much, Mr. Gary from Citizen.
Absolutely a pleasure. Thank you.
And just a quick final one word about Lucy's course this weekend
at Banana Jam.
At Banana Jam. Don't forget, it's at Banana Jam.
I think that's 6
You can
beers.
go to brewmistress.co.za. And that's for brewing beyond the basics. That's if you want to take your brewing to the next level, whether it's a home brewer or going commercial. Right. I think I've said all I needed to say. I'm going to say thank you very much. Peace out. Thank you.
Mushy mushy.
Mushy mushy. And we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening, guys and girls. Make sure to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Just search for #BeerTime. That's #BeerTime written out in full. Hope you enjoyed the show, and check you next time. Cheers.